This sweater is one of my absolute favorite vintage sweaters to wear in the warm and hot weather. But for a few reasons, I am getting more and more nervous to wear this. So a few weeks ago, I unraveled a thrifted sweater in order to use that yarn to try to recreate this particular one. Things haven't worked out exactly as I planned. There's been many mistakes along the way, as is usual for my knitting machine. But let's start by first measuring out this sweater, writing down the dimensions, making a gauge swatch with a new yarn, and redoing all the calculations to hopefully try and knit this up on my knitting machine. A little bit about the construction of these vintage sweaters. You're currently looking at the inside of this sweater, and that is that they are knit flat and then sewn or seamed together. So we are going to be redesigning all of the different 4 panels for this sweater. First is the front, then is the back, and then 2 identical sleeves. I decided to start with a back panel because I think it's kind of like the best practice piece for me. Every time I sit down at this machine, I feel like I'm kind of relearning it a little bit at the start. Now that we finished the ribbing, finally, so now I have to move everything from the ribber to the main bed, and then I will knit 1 row of plain knitting, and then we're going to start on the lace pattern. Right, it is time to start the lace portion of this top. I could probably talk about this for a very long time, but I'm assuming that most of you don't have as in-deep interest in this as I do, so I will leave it at that, just to say that I'm now going to have 2 carriages on the bed at the same time. One quick note, my knitting machine does knit lace and I can make custom lace charts, but it's been a while since I've done that. So I've decided to just use one of the lace patterns that comes standard with my machine to hopefully make this a little less intimidating for me to try and tackle. I want to do an exact replica in the future, but right now I just want to warm back up on my machine. Okay, the back is done. Let's see how this looks. It's looking a little big, but this is supposed to be at the shoulders. Then the underarm is not half bad, but the length, this is way too long. Okay, so it's a new day and I'm looking at the piece that I knit yesterday and comparing it to my actual sweater. And I think I got the width pretty much okay. Here, it's a little smaller. Here on the sides, it's all right. I could maybe go down 4 stitches potentially on each side just to pull it in a little bit and make it match up here, I think a little bit better. But look at this extra excess length. I think if I continued working on this sweater and finished it, I wouldn't wear it, or at least I wouldn't be honest with myself if I didn't say that I wouldn't wear it. And to put so much time and effort into a piece like that, especially because it's lace work and requires a lot of concentration, I don't think that's the right investment of material or time. So today we are going to start off the day by unraveling all of my knitting from yesterday, which is slightly painful, but I think necessary. So I'm gonna maybe put like a good show on and unravel this so that I can feel a little bit of joy in my sadness. Probably should take some measurements first and some notes just to make sure that when I redo this, we won't have this again. But yeah, to unraveling. So as I'm unraveling this, for those of you who might have seen me build my unraveler, you might be wondering why I'm using a cone winder today instead. And the main reason is that I like to use the unraveler to create yarn skeins when I'm going to be washing and resetting the yarn, because it'll then come from the skein into its final form before I use it. For knitting, usually like a center pull ball. For my knitting machines, I do prefer a cone because that feeds into the machine really nicely. I just got this cone winder though, so this is my first time using it. But since this has already been washed and dried once, I don't really need to go to the skein stage first and then the cone. And these cones are also made to be washed on, but I prefer when I'm unraveling to have it loose in the skein so I can like really wash the entirety of the fibers and kind of let it hang to dry. So yeah, that's why this time I'm going straight to the cone, because this yarn has basically already been processed from its thrifted state to its ready to reuse yarn state. So I'm just putting it straight back on the cone so I can go straight to the knitting machine after this. And this is, I have to admit, it is satisfying to watch, but at the same time, like, my heart breaks a little bit as I'm watching this, because I know how much, like, this was hours of work yesterday, and it hurts my soul a little bit to see the work being undone. But I think it's better to have this little bit of pain now and end up with a sweater I'll wear than to just keep going, add more hours into this sweater, and then never wear it. So I do think it's better, even if it's sad. I think I will see you back at the machine when I am back to casting on for everything. And maybe, you know what I'll do this time? I will time how long all this takes so you can see how long knitting a sweater on a knitting machine takes. Because I think people think it's like so quick and easy, and it's much faster than knitting by hand, but it is still a lot of work, and you really have to still pay attention when you're doing it. It's not just kind of like press a button and go. We're back at the knitting machine. This is our other little wing that I am going to put into my machine so that I am not launching my knitting carriage. I made that carriage off of the end of it like I was. Oh yeah, I bent a metal piece. I'm gonna have to bend that back. Whoop. I'm also gonna fall off this chair. Okay, there you go. See? Now it can rest nicely out of place without flying off the end of the machine like it was yesterday. I've also pulled up a timer on my phone because I do want to see how long this takes me. Do that. Do that. Yeah, came out of the feeder and everything's just dropping. Okay, well, we gotta start over anyway, I guess. 0, 0, yes. Get a zigzag. One. This and that, and 1. Okay, this time, do not jump out, please. Gave me a heart attack there. So that was 1. 2. Oh, it jumped out again. Oh no, and it didn't jump out because I actually watched it. I'm the one who pulled it out. And anytime this yarn comes out of the main carriage and you move the carriage over the needles, your project drops off the needles. So I've just dropped like a quarter of this project off the needles. Again. 0, 0, reset, down, 1, reset. Press, press, 1. Now 3 times without losing the yarn. 1, 3. And we want to do 26 rows of the ribbing. Yeah, we are 16 minutes and 30 seconds in. We finished getting past like row 3 of the cast on at like 14 minutes. So it literally took me 2.5 minutes to knit the bottom 2.5 inches of ribbing on this back panel. But yeah, the first like 14.5 minutes was a lot of tries and failures. So now is a little bit of a longer part because we're moving on to the lace work. But the first thing we want to do is we want to do 1 row of plain knitting. So we have to get all the stitches from the river bed onto the main bed again. So you've probably seen me do this one time before. I'm just going to do it quickly and tell you how much time that takes. And of course, filming takes time, right? So now we're already at 18 minutes in, and I'll tell you how long it's taken me to transfer all the needles onto the main bed and knit a row of plain knitting. 4 minutes later, and all the stitches are transferred. We're going to change the attachment on my knitting carriage, or else we're going to drop the work again. I think I would actually cry if I did that. Got to make sure the yarn is actually in the carriage, or else once again, we're going to lose all of our work. Now we're going to do one row Okay, we have started on the body. So now we're going to do the lace for 84 rows. We've got to set the timing lever to the 0 mark, reset our card to the first row, move the carriage to the right, so this should be selecting needles. No, we did not select any needles. Okay, why did that not work? Try it one more time. One more time. Okay. I truly don't know why that worked now. I just kind of move things forward and back and okay. Now we move the lever back to the middle position, and now we should just be able to start knitting the lace. We want 84 rows, so now we should be transferring stitches. Yes, and now we knit 2. One, 2. We can actually move this carriage out of the way and continue on the lace. So we are officially 27 minutes in on the work on this panel so far. So I guess I'll check in when we get to the underarms, when the 84 rows of lace is done, unless, fingers crossed, anything else happens. I hope it doesn't, but I guess we'll have to see. So I'm just gonna go forward and see how long the panel up to the underarms takes me. Okay, 41 minutes of total work time. I think we last talked at 27 minutes, so that's 13 minutes, and I finished the body of the sweater up to the arm size. So now we are going to do the armhole shaping. We are done with the armhole shaping, and now it's time to do from the armhole shaping to the shoulders, which is a total of 70 rows. We are 6 rows in after the underarm shaping and 48 minutes in. So I guess I'll see you once that is done. 58 minutes in, the back is complete. We are 70 rows in from the underarm to the top of the back. So now, just let me try, I think we're gonna put this on waste yarn, and we are going to see if this is any better than our first attempt. One. We're gonna take it off. Oh, it's exactly an hour. Okay, let's see. All right, it's off the machine. Take off the cast on comb. And after an hour of work, we have the new back panel off the machine. So let me take this sweater off and let's compare this new back panel to the sweater that I'm trying to copy a little bit. Okay, here is the new back panel up against the old sweater I'm trying to copy. It's not perfect. You can see here that I think I've knit maybe, it's 2 inches longer, and it might be, I don't know, a little bit wider here on both sides. It's still, I mean, it's still a touch longer maybe than I would like it, but the underarm sits halfway decently. Yeah, it's maybe gonna be like a smidge baggier than I thought it would be, but so much better than what we started with. So I'm basically gonna make a copy for the front, and I will just time lapse that and let you know how long that section took me. I do have to sit down and do a little bit of calculations because the neck hole has some shaping on the front that I haven't fully like calculated out yet. So let me do that and get some snacks because yeah, this just takes so much focus. Sure, it takes like an hour to do one piece, but the amount of focus and concentration is a lot. So I'm already kind of dead and I'm about to do even more work. If we kind of roughly estimate that each piece takes 1 hour on the knitting machine, that means it's 4 hours for the entire sweater. Then I have to sew it together, which takes maybe another hour. I could have an entirely finished sweater in 5 hours, but I will be dead for the next 3 days with the amount of concentration it takes to get this done. All right, I'm gonna be honest, this front has been giving me such a headache, and a hole just opened up there. I can show you a little bit closer. I'm like this close to crying. It just feels so demoralizing when you're so close, and I don't understand why the back went so smoothly, and now with the exact same yarn, the exact same settings, the exact same tension, the exact same carriages, the exact same machine, why this is so much harder. I'm not even halfway to the underarms and it's just such a headache. I am 45 minutes in, which for the back was 15 minutes from being done, even with all the false starts. And I'm not even to the underarms on this one just because the lace has been messing up so much. I don't understand. I might just have to step away for a while because I'm just getting like more and more frustrated anytime something jumps off or acts off. And that's not a good recipe for then fixing mistakes, because this is a small mistake that I could have fixed like if I wasn't so upset, I think pretty easily and pretty unnoticeably. But because I was upset, things got tangled and then I ripped it further. So I have to also keep that in mind. So let me show you. Okay, so there's the hole that happened. I'm going to fix that and walk away for a little bit. So this is the before and there's the fix. It kind of looks like a spider that got a little drunk. So I think you can definitely see the mistake in there, but nothing is unraveling further. So at least it's safe for now. We are 50 minutes into this front and I think I'm just gonna walk away for now because yeah, like I said, I'm just, I jinxed myself, didn't I? Didn't I say that? I was about to say something about this probably being faster than yesterday, but I am not going to jinx myself. Jinx myself. And yeah, at this point it's going to take about twice as long to finish, if not more. I will see you again in a few minutes after I've like stepped away, and hopefully I can finish the front today. That's my goal. And that was finally the last row of the front, which is now done. It has given me such a headache. Here's the front. Can you kind of see like the curve to the front? And yeah, there's quite a few mistakes in the lace. I think the top ended up taking me about 3 hours in total between yesterday and today. I worked on it for about an hour and a half today. I did an hour and a half yesterday. So 3 hours for the front, an hour for the back. But it's done. It's done now. So we're at 4 hours total. Front and back finished. On to the sleeves. And the sleeves are finally done. I timed myself. It took about 38 to 40-ish minutes for each sleeve. The first one was giving me a little bit more problems, and then I realized I think I was hanging a little bit too much weight. And when I reduced the weight when I was knitting the second sleeve, the lace patterning was giving me less trouble. Here are the panels all laid out. It's so exciting to see it all together. I'm gonna be honest, it feels like it took forever to get to this point. But there are 4 panels, front, back, 2 identical sleeves. We're gonna start sewing them up by sewing up the shoulders on the front and back, because we've got live stitches that we're actually going to rehang on the knitting machine in order to knit the ribbing, which we can do flat. But first we're gonna go over to the linker to link these 2 sections together, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the linker. Okay, so now we are at my linker. This is the at-home version of what is actually used in factories today to make sweaters. If you look at your sweaters, unless it's been made with a very fancy new knitting machine called a fully fashioned knitting machine, most sweaters today that you can buy commercially are made in the exact same way that I'm making mine right now, which is knit in sections and then stitched together. And the stitching together happens on a linker, which is kind of like a chain stitch machine that allows you to hang each individual stitch on this, and it kind of stitches through them. Please excuse the terrible lighting. I thought I was just going to very quickly finish off the last 2 seams on my linker, you know, from the underarm here down. So here's the neck opening. There's a sleeve. And I sewed the body into a tube. I sewed the wrong sides together. Okay, I'm gonna do this another day. I'm obviously not focusing enough. There's an adjustment that needs to be done on the linker. Right now I'm having to do everything very manually because the needle needs to be positioned upwards just slightly for the stitches to catch properly. So I have to go find a hex key to do that. It's past 10 o'clock. I should not be working on this anymore. So I will see you on a better day, hopefully. Okay, it's a few days later now, and I'm gonna be honest, I very much tried with the linker, and I have to figure it out a little bit more. There are some amazing instructional videos on how to use this linker that just bring me right back to my childhood. Just those like 80s, 90s infomercial type of vibe or instructional video vibe is just incredible. But I ended up just sewing up the rest of the seams by hand. And I guess now it's time, without further ado, for the final reveal. Let's go! I am in love with this sweater. It did test my patience at times, that is for sure, but overall I am so happy with how it turned out. I actually, funnily enough, had this particular dress in mind when I was thinking about designing this particular sweater, because I love the original vintage and I always thought that I would want to wear it underneath this dress, which is a hand-sewn vintage dress that I've always enjoyed wearing, but the material is quite coarse and I have very sensitive skin, so it would irritate me a little bit on the shoulders and around the waist. So I thought, what if I had the same vintage sweater to wear underneath it, but in a color that I think complements it a little bit better, which would be this like cream white color. And I think it worked out perfectly for that purpose. It's not exactly the same, right? There's a few differences. So the sleeves ended up a bit tighter. The lace pattern is obviously different than the original because I just used the closest punch card that I had available. I still don't have any buttons sewn on. I didn't get to it this time, and there are some ends I have to weave in, but overall I am so happy with how this turned out, and this is from my recycled yarn. Let me know if you are interested in me actually diving into the original lace pattern of that particular sweater and recreating it 100%, because I have some more yarn from unraveled sweaters that I could use in order to knit this up. I've also been toying with the idea of, if I do figure out the original lace pattern, should I write it up as a sweater pattern for you all to knit as well and enjoy? I don't know, let me know. What are your thoughts? What do you think about this particular cute little vintage sweater? I personally love it. It is 1000% my style, and I'm so glad that I went through the slight headache and troubles of making it, especially now a few days later from like the worst of it. I think it's 1000% worth it. Thank you so much for spending some of your precious time with me. I really appreciate it. Feel free to follow me on other social media platforms if you're ever interested in seeing more up-to-date information, and I share some behind-the-scenes stuff with my patrons, including a wrap-up. So feel free to join me over there if that's something that you'd like to see, including what these large structures are behind me. I've got some videos on that. So thank you again, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!